Good morning, traders. Today is Thursday, September 15th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Sorry I'm running late today, so let me get right to the point. I'm expecting chop, right? The overnight, basically, we've just had nothing but balance since we made that spike down a couple of days ago. At the end of the day, the market spent the whole night, the night before last, rotating. It spent the whole day yesterday rotating, and then it spent the whole night rotating once again. So I think it's fair to say we've got ourselves what we could consider a little miniature balancing area happening right now, and we can kind of treat it as such. So the way I'm going to look at the market this morning is obviously, first things first, I'm expecting chop, lots of grind up and down. And I'm keeping a very close eye. I know we're opening right on it, but I'm keeping a close eye on the overnight low. I like this little note of volume on the cumulative right here. So if we open and we push below that overnight low and we start to get resistance there, I'll look for continuation to head down and repair these weak references down here. But if we repair these weak references and we start to pull back up and we get through what it will be the opening price of today, I would actually look to go long towards the opposite end to come back and repair these and vice versa. If we head up first and we repair these weak references, but then we can't get above yesterday's high, I would look to head back down to repair these. As this feels a little bit to me like not necessarily a traditional balancing area, but just like a very tight little balancing range that we're stuck in for the moment. Okay. Inside the range, inside basically yesterday's range, I mean, just lots of chop, lots of grinding up and down, tons of different levels for support and resistance. So we really need a break of yesterday's low to look lower, a break of yesterday's high to look higher, or probably, look below and fail, look above and fail type of trades. Those are going to be the best, highest probability entries. The rest is likely to be a lot of just difficult chop. That will be hard to read. So that's where I'm at. Expecting chop, looking for support and resistance, and let's see what happens. Who says I need to be here 10 minutes early? I can knock it out in 2. Overnight inventory is net short, so we would expect the first auction to be a counter auction to the upside. So potential resistance at 39.53 and then up around 39.62. Invictus, I still am having a hard time putting a level of valuation and importance on the overnight poor high. So again, I don't really pay attention specifically to poor highs in the overnight or poor lows. I just think of the overnight as being its own auction and regular trading hours being its own auction. So a counter auction, right? So that, some of these traders have a chance to get out of their trade. Sure, I can see that, but not necessarily coming all the way back up to repair the poor high. I don't see it that way. I would also just note, you don't need a poor high up there as a target. You've got the weak references from the regular trading hours, right? So that's what you focus on. First one we're going to try to repair is this one. If we can repair it, the next one is this one. If we can repair it, next one is this one. And then before you know it, you're up there at that high anyway. Instead of focusing on that, you can just focus on these. The other thing that's worth noting about the overnight here is that from the high, that's actually a 45-degree angle. So that's likely to act as very strong resistance, which again is why it feels like a bit of a balance area that we're stuck in. Market don't know if it wants to go up or down. It just can't decide. Invictus, do you consider it to have significant importance with 3 TPOs? Yeah, no, not really. You know, there might be something to it. It's just nothing I've ever looked at. I've never asked myself when we have a poor high and the market opens, like what happens as a result. It's just not something I look at. Resistance you have marked based on high volume nodes? Yes, exactly. If you just look at the cumulative volume over there on the left, you can see there's a large node right there. You can see there's a large node right there. And you can see there's a large node right there. You can also see with this angle right here, this is where the resistance, you would expect the resistance to start as they push into that. Mateus, chop zone, chopping it up. We got a chop zone. Chippity chop. Well, the market is creating a gorgeous little tiny bell-shaped curve there in the A period. Again, that's just a sign of two-sided trade. There's as many buyers as sellers. Mark, how far back does the orange cumulative go? I've got it set at like 190 days right now. I just set it for as far back as I need to in order to be able to see where the volume traded in the past. It's not something you have to get overly worried about getting it exactly right. Just take all the old volume you can find and smoosh it together and see where they traded. And of course, you want to confirm it based on price action that's happening. So for example, where was all that resistance in the overnight? Right? Where were they struggling to try to get higher and couldn't? Well, right in that giant node of volume. So we can trust that that will be good, strong resistance. We had this big cumulative node of volume down here. Where did we find support yesterday? Right inside that big node. So as long as you keep noticing that however you have your settings set up, they work out, that's all you need. Mark, how was your Bookmap homework? I actually didn't do that yesterday. I talked about I was going to replay it and go back and analyze it, and I didn't because I was just too tired. At the end of the day yesterday, I was burned out, man. Yesterday's market took a lot of brain power to try to comprehend. Oh, what's that? A trend down? Oh, what's that? A breakout to the upside that fails? Oh, what's that rotation that tries to break out to the downside? Oh, what's that rotation that fails? And we close right back at the opening price? Got it. William, I just trade the futures. I have no problem with options trading. I highly encourage it. It's just not something that I'm personally interested in. It's a little too complex. I like to keep it simple. Do I think it's going up or down? Long or short? Okay, testing the first resistance. RK Leon, you're getting a D minus for participation. Yeah, I'll take it. That's fair. I said I'd do it and I didn't do it. Scooball NQ tested yesterday's high. Let's take a look at the Q. Yesterday's high. I don't see that. So NQ a little bit more bullish than the ES. Yesterday wasn't a continuation of the downtrend. It was an inside day. So we made a lower high and we had value lower, but we didn't make a lower low. So that's just slightly less bearish. And also their overnight tested higher than the regular trading hours. So that's a little bit less bearish. But this is definitely still just a balance area. It's just slightly more bullish than the ES. Giles, which Bookmap subscription do you recommend? It looks like we need at least Global or Global Plus for futures. That's a great question. I don't actually even know. I probably should have researched that a bit more. I don't know what the difference between the tiers are and what you get. Good question for me to research and get back to you later on. Mark says, I've been using Bookmap for 2 years. Global Plus allows you to trade from Bookmap and adds a couple indicators. But Global is all you need to get started. Well, there you go. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I guess if you don't want to actually trade on the Bookmap platform, it probably doesn't matter. So while we've got you here, Mark, what is it, if you've been using Bookmap for 2 years, what is it that keeps you coming back for more? What element of it do you feel like is important for your analysis? Okay, so as we're pushing our way up into that resistance, we're also getting back to the zero line on the NYSE ticks. So this will be a good test of whether new buyers are going to start to pile in here, trying to take the market higher. Can they keep these ticks above the zero line, or do they get smacked back down below? All right, ticks are holding. And you have the repair of the first week reference. All right, so now the question is, have the buyers just taken control of the market, or are we still just going to keep chopping around here inside of yesterday's range? Well, to figure that out, we're looking for support. We turned off, or we didn't quite repair it. We need one more tick. But once we get one more tick higher, we will have repaired this weak reference. So was getting rid of that magnet that's tugging on price, was that enough for price to come falling back down towards the open? Or do they find support? Does halfback become support? Or maybe like 39.58, this area becomes support to go up and repair the next one. And then we test it again. Once that magnet is turned off, does the market pull back down or does it find support again? If it finds support, we're going to get the next magnet, and so on and so forth until we can get above the overnight high. Only above there can I start to get bullish. I don't understand, Charles, but the price has moved all the way from 39.47 to 39.70. I mean, how can you not be bullish? That's a big move. Well, because they could get up here, get resistance, crash and burn, and trend down for the rest of the day. We don't know if they're actually trying to take the market higher or if they're just trying to fill some of this liquidity so that they can crash and burn the market. So that's why I do it one step at a time when we're in a chop zone. Wait for certainty that I understand what the market's doing. As of now, it seems to be building support. So I think it's fair to look for a repair of 39.70 and then see if we get a sell-off from there. So there you go. We just turned off that first week reference. Does the market crash and burn? If not, we're looking to repair the next one. Chris, MBO bundle, stops and icebergs, sub chart, icebergs on chart, liquidity tracker, $135 a month. So the question is, will having all those gizmos and gadgets help you get 3 points on the ES in a month? If so, it pays for itself. Will it stop you from getting into a trade where you might lose 3 points? Then it pays for itself. Okay, so the second week reference is repaired. So once again, we're looking for support. When it pulls, excuse me, when it pulls back, does it find support? If so, it's heading up to repair the next one. If not, the chop continues. David Keene, can anyone recommend a TPO profile? Yeah, you can use Tradeovate for free. All right, so we're looking for this support right here around 39.66 to hold if we're going to try to head up and repair those weak references. If not, I'd expect the market needs to chop its way back down towards half back. Looking for support there. Half back's at 39.56. All right, we have support. All right, so we're getting support, but we're having obviously a hard time. This 45-degree angle from the highs here is going to act as very strong resistance. So what we would expect is that the market's going to have to pull back down towards half back to bring in the buyers to get through there. If they're able to continue to build support here enough to get through, that would be more bullish in my mind. And I would then be looking to buy support at the overnight high. Or really buy support anywhere in the 45 once it breaks and comes back down. But more likely, it'll act as resistance, and we got to chop. We got to chop back down to half back. All right, there's the repair of the last week reference. So now the question of all questions. Is the market ready to continue higher, or are we about to just get a look above and fail that pulls us right back down? We're now looking for support. I would say above 70. It's a little bit bullish that we now have value overlapping to higher from yesterday. Started the day with value overlapping to lower. Would have taken a lot of work to now get it to overlapping to higher. So that's just a little bit bullish. Charles, what the heck does that mean? Value overlapping to higher? What on earth are you talking about? See this blue box? that is what's called the value area. It represents where 70% of the day's trade has taken place. It's a much better indicator than price as to what the market is trying to do. It's very easy to push the price up and down, but it's very, very hard to push that value area up and down. So if they were able to get it from overlapping to lower than yesterday's value to now overlapping to higher, that would have taken a lot of work. So it's worth noting. Dun dun. Dun dun. All right, we're testing the very last support we got up here to break out above yesterday's high or break out above the overnight high. If this fails, the chop zone is back. Ederson, why sometimes is your value area and POC different from my volume profile 30-minute chart? Because volume profile is slightly different from market profile. My value area is calculated based on the TPOs, whereas yours is calculated based on volume. And my point of control is based on time and not based on volume. So the TPOs is basically a combination of time and volume. And so the numbers are just going to be slightly different. Robert, possible P pattern? I highly doubt it. In my mind, there's really only one of three choices that the market could do today. It's either going to spend the day bouncing around inside this range, okay, like we did yesterday and in the overnight, or it's going to break higher or lower, or it's going to try to break higher, lower, fail, and come back and keep chopping. Charles, what the heck? So you're saying it could go up and fail and then go down. It could go down and fail and then go up, or it can go down and succeed. So you're saying all the things? Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what's so tough about a chop zone. They could break it either way, and we just don't know yet. So patience is key. All right, well, this support has me bullish to try to test yesterday's high. So I am bullish as long as we stay above 65. Looking to see what happens when we get up there around 39.80. If they pass back through this support, though, if they pass back through 65, we're setting ourselves up for a very boring rotational day. Back to chap. Can they hold it? Scooball, poke support. Poke resistance, Scooball. Poke resistance. Overlord, thank you for saying so. We shall see. We shall see. Overlord, have you have you had a chance to really study the tool so far, or just unbox it and turn it on? A little bit of both. I watched all the educational videos on Bookmap's YouTube. There's like 4 really great ones that Bruce made. Um, but yeah, I'm in the unboxed phase right now, where I'm not trying to force it. I'm just letting my brain absorb the information. Just kind of watch it move, ask myself questions. What is it doing? And sort of just, the way the brain works is neurons have to make connections with one another, right? It's a literal, they physically grow and connect with one another when you start to understand new things. And so I just am in that phase where I got to let my brain make some connections here and just start to be able to see what's happening. So I don't have a ton of insights yet, but I'm excited. If you were to go back, you can't anymore because I've gotten rid of them. But if you were to go back and watch my original, first couple months of live streaming with Market Profile, that's when I was learning internals. And I was completely clueless. I was totally clueless as to what I was looking at. But over time, I got better and better and better at it. Mateus, so we break the initial balance today or fake it and rotate? Yes, sir. I mean, that's right now basically what we're trying to figure out is, does the market want to go higher today or do we want to go sideways? And this is the area that's basically going to tell us right here. They're either going to look above the overnight high and then fail and crash and burn lower, or we're going to find support and try to test yesterday's high. So that's the battle that's being fought right now. Are we ready to pick a direction and try to go higher, or do we need more chop? Overload. Me too, man. I'm stoked. Well, those ticks don't look good. Looks like that support's about to break. Dun dun. Oh, there it is. Dun 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 dun. All right. Back to neutral. We tried. But this market's not ready to go anywhere yet. Okay, so now we're looking for it to pull back down and find support to try to come back up and take another poke at it. First potential support is going to be around halfback, 39.58. Then this node of volume around 55, and then the opening price at 46. You win, Scooball. Poke, poke on the support. Oh, yeah, and there's a low volume node in need of backfilling at 58. James, 6% mortgage rates. The winking eye in interest rates is a coming. Not really sure what that means, but I'm sure it's very wise. Invictus, there goes my runner at 62 and my dreams of a Ferrari. Yeah, those Ferrari dreams, they never tend to work out in day trading. You always find yourself in a Honda Civic. No, I like the code, James. It's a challenge. Mark, Home Depot and Lowe's will love it. Yeah, it's, man, those stocks, Home Depot and Lowe's, those stocks can just take anything with stride. They pump through through every market. People just love to work on their houses. Oh, maybe not. It actually did have a bit of a pullback. Yeah, it's a good looking chart. Yeah, I would say you could look for support above 266. As long as they don't break that the daily from January 21st, the daily low. Could look for a trade there. Zachary's says I was up 1.2K and now I'm back down to only 600. I hate days where it's chopping around. I do too. Straight up, days like today, if I wasn't live streaming, I would have opened my chart this morning and gone, okay, great. I'm going to put an alert at the overnight high, an alert at the overnight low, and just go about my business. There's really no point in even sitting here staring at the chart until they make a decision. Okay, next potential support is around 48, 47, 48. That is a market perfectly in balance. All right, well, moment of truth here. Same as it was up at this, excuse me. Same as it was up at this area up here. You know, this support is exactly the same as that one. Just like we said, if this breaks, we're heading back down. If this can hold, we're heading back up. So as we print the C period here, we're looking for support and continued chop for the market to grind up and down inside this range it's been in now for roughly 2 days. We're looking for continuation of that. Now, if they're going to go lower or go higher, the first step will be breaking the initial balance. That is getting above the B period high or getting below the A period low. If they break the initial balance, you can look for continuation in that direction. But what you don't want is what happened here this morning. You don't want the market to poke down and then come back up and just get resistance. Like, you don't want that. You want it to poke down, come back up, and then immediately continue lower. Same thing with the high. You want it to poke above, come back down, find support, and then continue higher. If not, you can just expect more chop, more grinding around in this range. Because this market don't know what it wants to do. And often when it doesn't know what it wants to do, it has to just keep going up and down, convincing more and more people to go long, more and more people to go short, until one side wins. With that, I bid you farewell. I'm off to hang out with the cool kids, which of course are the members of the brigade. If you take any value from this first hour of live streams that I do, you might consider joining the brigade. There's a link in the description. It only costs $10, less than a single tick on the ES. Think about it. One single tick, 1/4 of a point move, and you can pay for your membership. Is there any chance that in the next month I might say a single thing to help you make a tick? Well, that's for you to decide. With that, I will say goodbye and see you tomorrow morning. Thanks a lot.